Welcome to New Possibilities. I speak truth to power without fear. So I'm going to get started in a couple of minutes. I'm going to give people some time to tune in before I get started. And this shouldn't be a long hangout. I just want to share my thoughts. Earlier today, I was doing this video where I touched on this subject, but I didn't get a chance to go into it in detail because I was on my way to work. So I just got in there for a second and just highlighted a couple of points. But right now, I just want to take some time to share my thoughts about this situation. And really, it goes beyond just these two individuals. This is a bigger issue than just the two people involved. And I just want to highlight some key points that were raised in this whole discussion between these two women. Peace to sister. Yeah, so I'm going to get started. While I was in New York, I saw Paris Milan's original video where she was responding to Chrissie and some of her followers. And she was basically talking about how people were disrespecting her in Chrissie's comment section. And then, there was some back and forth about that and about the issue of like how you deal with people that are your supporters. So she had these supporters, Chrissie had these supporters allegedly trashing Paris Milan and all that kind of stuff. And Paris Milan basically responded, and Chrissie did a couple of videos about this subject. And I want to highlight some of the points that Chrissie made. But before I really get into this video, one thing that I want to address is this whole idea of Black people staying on code. Like in my last video, I kind of touched on this whole dispute between these two women. And in response to that, one of the things that people said is that, they don't support the idea of women going back and forth or Black people arguing with each other and that we need to stay on code and this and that. Obviously, I don't think that people should argue. I don't support like people arguing just for the sake of arguing. I don't support conflict for the sake of conflict or anything like that. But, I think that this whole idea of people being on code is problematic for a couple of reasons. I mean, the one thing is this, I think that it's all right to have debates within the Black community. It's all right to have ideological discussions and debates and differences of opinion and even conflict. Out of conflict, sometimes, you have resolution. You have resolution of outstanding important issues. Great debates bring about great ideas. And I think that ideas should clash and the best ideas will emerge victorious. So I don't have any problem with people debating their differences of opinion. And I think that here you have a debate about a difference of opinion. Really, you have a debate between women who support Black men and women who don't. It's a debate between women who support Black love and women who don't. And this is an important discussion that we need to have in our community. And I plan to go into it a little bit more in detail. Yeah, I agree with you, Psycho, man. Paris over Chrissie, and I'm going to explain why, in this video. And before I get into that, one thing that I want to address is this idea of trolls and like how to respond to trolls. Like this is something that I left a comment in Paris Milan's video, basically saying you got to ignore these haters. Like I know that there are people like in Chrissie's section that were hating on Paris Milan or vice versa or whatever. I mean, if you're going to be a YouTuber, the first thing you have to do is, rise above these haters, man. People are going to hate you. If you express controversial opinions, you're going to have haters. And you have to get to the point where you don't let these haters get to you. And one of the first things you can do is just ignore them or delete them and block them. If they're on somebody else's page, like I've seen haters, for instance, basically encouraging people to take certain types of action against me, these people egging on people, making, these threats against me and stuff like that. Instead of me like going to that comment section, arguing with those people or even doing some extended video about those people, I just block them so I don't even have to interact with them. And one thing that I don't understand with like some of these people that like, for instance, they complain about my content, I'm going to get back to the main subject in a second. It's like, if you hate my content so much, why are you going out of your way to watch it? I mean, But that's a whole nother subject. I could go on and on for that about that, but I won't. But you know, the bottom line is this, man. You gotta ignore these haters, ignore these trolls. Don't give them any energy. That's what they feed on. They feed on attention. They feed on energy. They love to have you hear you say their name in your videos. They love when you comment to them. So I just think that overall, you just have to ignore these trolls, and that's what I advised her to do. And it's like you can't feed that negative energy. And I'm kind of glad that she's just moved on and, you know, deleted her video and just like ignored this stuff and got back to the very important subjects that she talks about. And that's one of the things that I like about her, man. You know, I like her content. You know, she talks about issues that matter to our community, issues that are relevant to our community. And that's going to get me to this main point that I wanted to highlight. And that's this, you know, you have a difference of opinion. So you have, you know, Chrissie and all that kind of stuff that has this opinion that, you know, it's really all about dark-skinned Black woman promotion over everything else. You know, it's not about being for the community. It's not about putting the community first and all that kind of stuff. The community is secondary. Black love is secondary in her mind. And I find that to be deeply problematic because you can't have Black women empowerment without a Black community empowerment. I mean, if the Black man doesn't have power, how is the Black woman going to have any real power? How can you have a community um, that's thriving and powerful when only the women thrive? I mean, that is not a community. That is the destruction of a community. And we see that we see examples of this all the time. Like you do have a lot of women who are successful. You know, a lot of Black women who are like educated, and they all actually say that Black women are one of the most educated groups in society, in this American society. But look at the state of the community as a collective. You know, all of these Black women aren't going to be swirling and stuff like that. Who are they going to be with if the whole community is falling apart? We need to look at our plight as a people collectively and not individually, you know, not just focused on one particular gender. We have to be focused on the collective. That's the only way that you can survive as a people. It has to be about the unity of the people instead of about one gender versus another gender and this and that. And I just think that, you know, the promotion of such ideas is just toxic to our development and advancement as a people. We can't advance if it's only women who are advancing or only men who are advancing. It has to be about the group. And one thing that she talked about was this, you know, one thing that Chrissie was talking about is like, you know, this idea that being pro-Black is not necessarily conducive for Black women specifically. And, you know, really, I think that that's, you know, ludicrous. I think that it's ridiculous because it's Black consciousness, it's pro-Blackness that gave us the concept that Black is beautiful, that taught us to love ourselves as we are, to love our natural skin, our natural hair, our natural African features. It was Black consciousness that taught us that. You know, the pro-Black movement, as people call it today, Black nationalism, that gave us a sense of pride and a sense of unity. And that gave us renewed respect for the Black woman. That's what Black consciousness did to us and, you know, how it promoted us and, you know, protected us as a people, man. And, you know, this idea that, you know, this, the Black woman should be all about herself and all about self-promotion. It's just ridiculous. And this idea that somehow that's separated, you know, the empowerment of Black women, the celebration of Black women, the promotion of Black women is something separate from being pro-Black. You know, to me, that just doesn't make any kind of sense. You know, it's being pro-Black that taught us to love and appreciate the sisters. It taught us to love and appreciate ourselves. And I think that that's something that she downplays. And, you know, really, I think that at the heart of this, you know, it does come down to hatred, despite all this stuff, you know, that this woman is saying that it's, you know, it's not about hatred or whatever. And maybe she doesn't like have outright hatred towards Black men or whatever, but I'm sure a lot of the people that support her do. And it's like, the thing that I notice with a lot of these bitter women that are, you know, resentful towards Black men is they love to use the word collective. You know, they'll say, well, oh, there are plenty of there are examples of black men doing X, Y, and Z, but black men as a collective aren't protecting. Black men as a collective aren't providing. Black men as a collective are not promoting black women and, you know, protecting black women and all that kind of stuff. But then in the same breath, this woman went on to talk about like all these individuals that she knows in her life that are great black men. She talked about her father being a great black man. She talked about the man that she's in a relationship being a great black man. She talked about the black men who give money to her platform. She talked about the good that they're doing, but yet she still is dismissive of black men by saying that black men as a collective aren't doing anything for the most part. And, you know, I just think that that word collective is just used as an out to express hostility towards black men. It's used as a means to emasculate black men. And these same women, you know, as they emasculate the black men, they have all these expectations of black men. And that's something that she said. She said something about how, like, at this point, she doesn't have any kind of expectations of black men. She doesn't ask black men for anything because she doesn't expect black men to provide anything. But yet she continues to criticize black men for X, Y, and Z. And I think that if you had no expectations for black men, really, you wouldn't be criticizing them. You know, you wouldn't have any need to criticize them because you wouldn't have any expectations for them to do anything for you. So I think that that's, you know, one of the problems with her analysis, and the fact that she's contradicting herself by talking about how black men aren't doing X, Y, and Z, but she's citing all these black men that are doing X, Y, and Z for her and supporting her and all this and that. It just doesn't make any kind of sense. It really doesn't. I mean, it kind of reminds me of Cynthia G again, like how Cynthia G, for instance, will say, well, black men aren't doing X, Y, and Z. And then you cite all these examples. And then, you know, the only thing she can say is it's not the collective, or they weren't fighting for liberation, even though they gave their lives for black empowerment and black liberation. It's just like the mental gymnastics that these people go through to perpetuate their hatred for the black man. It's just amazing, man. It's just, and it's sickening the extent to which they go. And, you know, that's one of the biggest problems that I have with Chrissie. You know, like, first of all, I like the fact that she deals with color. I mean, before I go back into the negative things, I'll just say this. On a positive note, I do like the fact that she deals with colorism. You know, I think that that's an important issue in our community that must be addressed. I think that black women, dark-skinned black women in particular, do need promotion. And I support like her divine black skin, you know, dark skin woman, you know, divine dark skin Instagram and, you know, magazine. I haven't read her magazine before, but I'm a supporter of her Instagram, you know, the divine dark skin Instagram. You know, I think that it's great to see beautiful black women, you know, on full display and being promoted and all that kind of stuff. That's positive. I support all of that. But I don't support the idea that black women should be promoted at the cost of the community. I don't support the idea that the black woman should be placed, you know, the black woman's priorities should be placed over everybody's priorities. I think that we need to have a collectivist type of mentality if we are to advance as a community, man. And I think that ultimately it should be about building black families and building black love instead of just being like self-centered and self-serving and just trying to just do what's best for that individual black woman, like, you know, promoting this idea that, you know, of interracial relationships and stuff like that, you know, over black love, just for the sake of this black woman getting validation. You know, you're so desperate and thirsty for validation that you will look for it anywhere, even if it's from a white man or some other non-black man. And I think that that's kind of pathetic, man. Now, I do see a distinction between what she's doing and what, you know, and what somebody like a Crystalline Karasin is doing. I mean, Crystalline Karasin basically idolizes these white men, puts them on a pedestal, you know, uses them or views them as like some kind of salvation for the black woman. That's how she presents, you know, swirling and stuff like that, and interracial relationships on that channel. But like Chrissie, you know, I see a distinction. You know, she's open to the idea of swirling, you know, and so she doesn't oppose it, but she's not on there like, you know, presenting it as if it's some kind of solution. So I do appreciate the difference between the two. But, you know, I just think that this idea that, you know, that black, dark-skinned women need to swirl, or that that's some kind of viable option for black women. I just don't think that that's a good idea, especially when you have a magazine or your whole thing is about promoting dark-skinned women, but yet you're promoting a lifestyle that will perpetuate the colorism issue. You have so much animosity towards lighter-skinned black women, but yet you're gonna put dark-skinned women in a situation and promote that kind of situation where they end up having these lighter-skinned kids that perpetuate this issue of colorism. And that is a contradiction. It is hypocritical, and it makes no sense. And you acknowledge that it's hypocritical. You acknowledge that. So I just think that that just doesn't make any kind of sense, man. And overall, like, I'll say this, like, the reason why I appreciate, like, you know, Paris Milan more than a Chrissie is because, first of all, Paris Milan is promoting Black love, and she's promoting, you know, she celebrates Black men, even though, like, of course, she's holding Black men accountable and she's holding Black women accountable and all that kind of stuff. She's not a pick me, as these people want to say. She's not like pandering to Black men. She's fair. That's what she is. You know, she's not pandering. And there's nothing wrong with being fair and balanced. I mean, that's one thing that Chrissie was like basically joking about, saying that this, you know, she's not about being fair and balanced. I mean, why not? I mean, why not be fair and balanced? Why not look at things, you know, in an objective, fair way when it comes to gender? It's like, I think that, you know, her mentality, and I'm talking about Chrissie's mentality and the people like her, I think it's toxic, man. I think it's a toxic energy, and it's not good. I mean, of course, I support the whole, you know, anti-colorism thing, but I don't support this, you know, anti-Black male theme that runs through her content and other, you know, YouTubers' content. You know, this constant need to emasculate Black men, this constant need to talk about Black men not doing this, Black men not doing that. I think that that's negative, man. And I don't see anything good coming from that. So I can't support that. And that's part of the reason why, you know, even though I'm still subscribed to Chrissie, like, I hardly ever watch her content for a couple of reasons. I mean, number one is, you know, it's a woman's channel and it's all about women's issues. And, you know, obviously I can't relate to all these women's issues. So I'm not watching her stuff like I would somebody else that talks about more diversified type of content. I mean, and, you know, that gets me to this whole thing about colorism. I understand that colorism is a major issue, but it's like, I think that too often, like, people don't get into like how we got to the point where colorism has become an issue. They forget who created colorism, who taught us to hate ourselves, who taught us to hate being Black, to hate our hair, to hate our complexion and all that kind of stuff. Who taught us that? And I think that as long as you don't deal with the larger society and the issues of racism and white supremacy, you can't fully address the colorism piece. You can't address it. You have to deal with the racist society that taught us to hate ourselves if you want to deal with that colorism piece. And I think that colorism, you know, it's just been used as a tool to divide and conquer Black people. And when you have people like, you know, like her, basically perpetuating the division among gender, perpetuating the division among, you know, different complexions, that doesn't help the Black community at all, you know, at all. And that's what you know, one of the problems that I find with her channel. I mean, again, although she does have some good points that she makes, she does produce some good content. That's one of the problems that I have with it. And then just overall, like, I have a problem with her negative energy, man. I mean, she just has, I mean, to be blunt, she has a real bitchy type of attitude. I mean, her channel reeks with attitude, man. And that's something that is annoying to me. Like, it's hard for me to listen through one of her videos because she has this mean girl type of persona, man. I mean, and everybody knows this. I mean, it's no coincidence that she has all these problems with all these people, just like, you know, like Paris Milan pointed out in her video. I mean, it's like, And then one thing that I've found, like, and then she has like this arrogance about her, man. Like she acts like she's all this and all that, like talking about how everybody's using her talking points, but yet she's going to criticize, like, you know, a black woman like Rashida Strober for pointing out how she's running with Rashida Strober's talking points, and how Rashida Strober is like one of the first people that put this whole issue in this YouTube space and stuff like that. But yeah, she's like claiming that people are running with her talking points, claiming that Paris Milan is running with her talking points. I don't see it. Like, I listened to Paris Milan, and I used to listen to Chrissie more, like way back in the day. Like, I don't listen to her that much nowadays unless it's some controversy like this that comes up or whatever. Um, but I don't see like these comparisons that she's trying to make between herself and Paris Milan, you know. And I think that the fact that her followers are like so pessimistic, and, you know, in their perspective, and anti-black male, to the point where they're going to tell this sister Paris Milan that she's going to end up being like Chrissie, and, you know, basically have an anti or dismissive attitude when it comes to black men. I just think that that's sick, man. And it's just sad that you have seen some of these black women on here who started off one direction and then ended up in another direction. Like, they started off positive, you know, they started off being about black love and black families and supportive of black men. And then they came up, you know, later on, they became like some of the worst people on here, like some of the most hateful, you know, angry, bitter black women on here. And that's the thing that I'm trying to find out, like with Chrissie, like what is her issue? Like, why does she have this animosity towards black men? Even though it's low key, it's not like as out there as some of these other people, but it's there. Like, I'm wondering why she has this animosity. I mean, especially given the fact that she said she was raised in a two-parent household, that she's around all these positive black men, that black men are the ones giving her money for her channel. Well, not her channel, but for her magazine and stuff like that. Black men are a lot of her supporters. So it's like, with all that in mind, like, why are you hostile to black men? I mean, it reminds me of, like, again, Cynthia G. Like, she's hostile to these black men and criticizing these same black men that helped put her on. Like Boyce Watkins helped put her on. Like, many of us wouldn't even know who she was if it wasn't for Boyce Watkins sharing his platform with her. Many people wouldn't even know who she was if she wasn't commenting on Tariq Nasheed's program or being featured on the Advice show and stuff like that. So I just don't get it. Like, it's like, in many ways, you could say some of these women are literally biting the hand that feeds them, man. And I just think that there's something wrong with that. So let me see if there are any other points that I want to make before I go to your comments. And one thing she said is that black men just don't want dark-skinned women to have options. And I don't think it's about that, man. It's not about trying to prevent dark-skinned women from having options. It's about people having, pride in themselves, realizing that the black man is a reflection of the black woman, and the black woman is a reflection of the black man, and realizing that it's about the collective, realizing that, you should love yourself and love your own, instead of like going outside of yourself to find love and companionship. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's about it. I think those are the main points that I wanted to make. I mean, it's like, how are you going to do content that's harsh towards lighter skinned black women when you are supporting swirling, which creates lighter skinned black women? I mean, to me, again, that doesn't make sense. And, really, while this colorism issue is important, I think it's a problem when it creates a situation where you have hostility between dark skinned women and light skinned women or brown skinned women. I mean, at the end of the day, we're all black people, and we're all being oppressed in some way or another. And of course, darker skinned women and darker skinned people, period, face more discrimination from the, from the larger society and inside of the Black community. But we need to stop dividing ourselves up as a race, and we need to deal with this problem of white supremacy and racism. We have to realize that that is the root cause of this colorism that exists in our community. The colorism is just a reflection of the white supremacist mentality that we have been programmed with. So, yeah, I want to thank y'all for tuning in, and I'm going to go through your comments real quick, see what y'all have to say. Shout out to Christina. So Agent One Services said, you can agree with someone's message without agreeing with their tactics. He said Paris lost me when how she act, based on how she act. She actually tried to dox Chrissie. Now, I don't support doxing anybody or anything like that, because I've had people say, well, they're going to dox me, and I've had people dox me before. So I don't support that. And, that's part of the reason why I understand why some people don't show their faces on here. So I understand why people don't do that. And, at the end of the day, I just don't support doxing. I think that what people should do is deal with the arguments being presented, deal with the actual issues being presented, instead of going on a personal attack where you're trying to destroy somebody. And I don't think that that's what she was trying to do. I don't think that that's what Paris Milan was trying to do at all, from the video that I saw. She wasn't trying to destroy Chrissie or anything like that. It's just that, I understand why somebody wants to show have somebody's face exposed. I understand why people do that, because often these people that are faceless, it's easy for them to throw around insults and stuff like that while they hide their identity, they hide their appearance. And I think that there's a reason why people hide. I think that, if somebody is, and it's not necessarily the case, but I think that a lot of times if somebody is confident, if they, love themselves and they have no problem with their appearance, then they don't hesitate in showing their identity. If they stand by their content and they truly believe in their content, they don't mind if the world knows their opinions on things, and they don't mind if people actually can identify the opinion with the actual person, because they stand behind what they say. Now, if they're on here putting on airs and saying things that are outlandish and absolutely ridiculous, things that they can't really stand by, then I can understand why they would hide their face. So I get this desire to find out, what does this woman look like? I mean, this woman comes off arrogant and cocky and all this and that. So it's natural for somebody to want to know what she looks like. So I'm not going to hate too much on her for trying to see what she looks like or trying to expose what she looks like. But I don't support doxing at all, man. I'll just be honest about that, because I got people on here threatening to try to get me fired, and that's not the first time. I've had people expose where I work and all this and that, and put my real name and all that kind of stuff out here. And when I first started, for a while, I was I was kind of naive. I didn't know what comes along with this YouTube thing. And, I didn't realize how important it is to protect your privacy on here, because people will stalk you. People will find out where you live and where you work. And some of these people are crazy enough to show up where you work. Some of these people are crazy enough to call your job or to write a letter to your job to get you fired. So I do understand why somebody would be anonymous, but I think that even though I understand that, I think that it gives somebody more credibility when they are willing to show themselves, when they're really, willing to stand by what they believe instead of hiding behind cartoons and avatars. Yeah, so I hear what you're saying about the doxing thing, just to sum it up. And I don't think that she was being childish or messy or anything like that. I really don't, man. I don't think she was being childish. Let's see what else people are saying. I think I already made my point about that, so I won't go on to say anything more about that. Oh, somehow this accidentally hit one of Big Game Orenthal's comments. Sorry about that. Somebody said she's a disgruntled fat chick. I don't know about that, and I don't want to go there. But I'm curious as to how she looks because, like, I mean, she has all these beautiful models on on her divine dark skin and stuff like that. So I'm just curious about how she looks. But really, at the end of the day, it's all about like what opinions are being expressed and about the validity of the points being made. Like the only way that her appearance becomes relevant is when it comes to this whole dark skin issue. Like you can't be doing all these videos about dark skinned women if you're not dark skinned yourself. Just my 2 cents said Cynthia G uses collective to keep her BS alive. Yeah, exactly, man. And that's exactly what Chrissie is doing here, man. Like by saying as a collective. I mean, that's just an out. That gives you an excuse to continue to hate on people. Like no, and when you use that kind of terminology, like no matter how many positive examples you present to these people, they can still come back and say, as a collective, you're not doing this and that. I mean, it's just a way to show ingratitude. It's a way to show like like how you don't appreciate any good that our black men are doing in the community and just in society. Yeah, so somebody said I'm late to the party. What's the problem with these two? I'm not even I'm not even going into that, man. You guys see the playback or just search on here on YouTube, man. It's just some minor stuff about some comments on people's pages. But really, I just wanted to deal with the larger issues, the issues of black love versus, swirling the issue of black woman promotion versus black community promotion, pro-blackness being, versus pro-black woman empowerment. That's what I wanted to focus on here. Like really, this dispute between these two women are like side issues as far as I'm concerned, even though like I'm obviously sharing my opinions about them. But I will say this like about Paris Milan. Like I think that she's a great YouTuber, and I think that she's on the rise. Obviously she's gonna pick up steam and get way more subscribers soon because she produces great content. She's very articulate and she commands her audience and she's gonna do well. She talks about subjects that appeal not only to women but to men as well. Like a lot of these bitter women, they just appeal to women, for the most part. And, they have a few people, like a few men that follow them as well. But for the most part, they appeal to like one gender. And that's one thing that sets her apart from these other people. Like she has a broader audience base. And, she's produced, great content about timely issues and stuff like that. So she's going to continue to expand. And I like her energy. She's a positive type of person. She has a lot of positive energy, a lot of positive vibes and stuff like that. And I think that people can pick up on that and they vibe with that. And that's why a lot of people rock with her. And that's why, one of the reasons why I support her. Like, I just think that her content is positive. She supports Black love and she holds Black men and women accountable. Now, obviously, I don't always agree with anybody on here. Even with myself, sometimes I may later on disagree with myself about something. But overall, I'm really impressed with her, man. And people that saying that she's like coddling black men. They don't know what they're talking about, because she has videos, like she said, you know, with dealing with Stephon Clark and, you know, other types of issues dealing with black men, where she holds black men accountable. So I don't think she's some quote unquote pick me or some mammy and stuff like that. And as I said in my first video that I did earlier today, I think that the biggest mammies and biggest pick-me's on here are these swirlers. You know, they're the ones that look desperate. They're the ones that look like they're desperate for the white man to pick them. I mean, what is a greater act of desperation than somebody writing a book teaching black women how to be attracted to white men? You literally have books like that, telling black women how to pick up white men, how to make themselves more acceptable to white men, how to be in places where these affluent white men are so they can get with white men. So that's an act of desperation. That's what a pick-me looks like. That's what a mammy looks like. I mean, the mammy was the one that watched over the slave master's house. The mammy was the one that was subservient, you know, happy to serve the white man. And that's what a lot of these swirlers are like. And when I use the term swirler, I'm not talking about somebody that happens to be in an interracial relationship. I'm talking about these people that literally worship the white man, you know, worship the ground that he walks on, puts him on a pedestal, you know, views him as the knight in shining armor. That's who I'm talking about. So let me go on. Yeah, so I'm not going to, you know, repeat things to the speculation. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, just my 4 cents said she can use collective against Puffy Combs, even though he has built things. You know, you know, people like that always say, well, black men as a collective aren't doing anything. I mean, again, like, you have examples of black men building schools, black men building businesses, black men literally building buildings and stuff like that. Examples of black men doing great things, but it's never enough. I mean, obviously, there should be more building, you know, more black men doing great things and all that kind of stuff. There's always room for improvement among black men and stuff like that. But it's just like these people always like negate the things that black men are doing by using that convenient term of collective. So let me continue on through your comments. So somebody said most black men do not think the way you say you think. What you're talking about isn't a common ideal among black men. I mean, that's your opinion. I mean, I don't share that opinion. You know, I think that more black men, in fact, most black men love black women and they want to be with black women. They celebrate black women. You know, I do think that colorism is an issue that can't be denied, but let's not pretend like most black men don't like, you know, black women or don't want to be with black women or trying to be with white women. Let's not pretend like that's the case. And let's not pretend that there aren't plenty of black men that love and appreciate dark-skinned black women. You know, as far as I'm concerned, dark-skinned black women are the most beautiful women on the planet. And that's not to take away from our lighter-skinned sisters or anything, but that's just the way I feel. And I know that there are plenty of brothers that feel the same way. Yeah, so somebody said, oh, Big Game Orenthal said most women that talk about colorism don't care about blacks as a whole or racism. They care about having a better spot in the caste system. Wow. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, some of them don't care about racism as a whole, like as an issue. Like, they don't talk about racism, even though colorism was born out of racism. It's like they ignore all of that and they just want to focus on, you know, colorism. And again, colorism is an important issue that has to be addressed in our community. But we can't talk about that without talking about racism in this society. We can't talk about that without talking about the legacy of Jim Crow and white supremacy in this society. But it's like people want to conveniently ignore that. Just bear with me a second. So Big Game Orenthal said she's not about the preservation of dark skin. She's about the promotion and validation of dark skin. She said that. Yeah, and that to me, it's like an inherent contradiction to be about the promotion and validation of dark skin, but yet you're not about preserving dark skin. You know, you're not about like maintaining that. To me, that again, that's a contradiction. So Agent One Services obviously is a Chrissie supporter. He's saying what Chrissie is saying is that dark-skinned women need to compete with all women, not just Black women. I mean, that's obvious, like in terms of society, like in terms of competing on a job or competing in economics or competing in athletics or whatever. In society in general, you're competing with all of humanity. It's a worldwide competition for excellence. Yeah, so I mean, as far as that's concerned, you know, I don't have a problem with Black women competing against any women or any other group of people, period. But I mean, what I get from your messages, you're talking about competing in terms of like getting a spouse or something like that. Is that, if that's what you're implying, then I don't support that, man. I don't think that a Black woman should be competing with a white woman to get with a white man, or competing with an Asian man to get, an Asian woman to get with an Asian man when she has her own Black man that she should be with. Let's continue on. Shout out to Water Sniper. So somebody said, Chrissie, it's like all her followers are in here for some reason. And that reminds me that somebody said, somebody on my page said, you just lost a subscriber because of my last video, man. I'm just like, man, these people, my whole thing is, man, don't go away mad, just go away. You feel me? It's like, I don't get the whole drama queen thing, man. It's like, if you're going to leave somebody's channel, just go, man. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to make some public service announcement that you're leaving. But anyway, let me get to this comments. Chance X said, Chrissie never got mad that people had similar talking points as her. I didn't say she got mad. Like I said that basically she was bragging about it, like saying, well, I'm glad that people are taking my talking points and spreading my message. I mean, nobody's taking her talking points. I mean, not that I've seen, like, especially not Paris Milan. Paris Milan has her own material. She's not taking her talking points. And as Paris Milan pointed out, you got Chrissie basically following behind her, imitating or, you know, following her subject matter, you know, following her talking points by picking up on her subjects that she raised before Chrissie thought about them. So, you know, I just think that a lot of times the people on here like had this inflated sense of self, man, like having these subscribers and views like gives you some sense of delusions of grandeur and stuff like that. So they think everything revolves around them. You know, they think that everybody's like borrowing things from them. And I just think that that's problematic, man. So Chance X said Rashida Strober is not the first one to do that either. She's the first one that I've seen on YouTube talking about these dark-skinned issues, you know, the issues that dark-skinned Black women face. And, you know, Chrissie admitted, for instance, that when she first got on here, she wasn't talking, Chrissie wasn't talking about colorism. She was talking about what everybody else is talking about on here. That only became something she talked about relatively recently, and it was after Rashida Strober. But really, I think at the end of the day, man, it's not about like arguing over who did something first or who did something last or anything like that. I think at the end of the day, you know, it's important to fight against colorism, whether it's Chrissie speaking out on it or if it's Rashida Strober or Paris Milan, if it's anybody, if it's the brothers speaking on the issue, it's just important that society at large address that issue of colorism. So it should be about that instead of about who said what first, who was the first one to do X, Y, and Z. Because when it becomes all about that, that's when it's all about self instead of being about the actual goal and objective of promoting dark-skinned women and fighting against colorism. Yeah, people keep mentioning Sergeant Willie P. I never watched his stuff. Like I watched a couple of his videos. Like after after so many people kept mentioning his name, like how he's one of the OGs on YouTube and stuff like that. Yeah, so I don't know nothing about I don't know much about him. But I do know this, like I know for a fact that he's somebody that Chrissie would constantly mention. She would constantly mention something that he was saying, and she would provide her take on something that he was saying. So he did obviously have some kind of influence over her at some point, or some kind of like he in part like gave her some kind of inspiration. Like she did constantly talk about him and his views on certain things and her take on those certain things or whatever. So that's something that's valid, a valid point to make up, to address. I don't know what's up with this thing. Y'all gotta excuse me. Some of these comments are being hidden by mistake. Hold on one second. Water Sniper said, prevent Black women from options. Who the heck would even think to bring that out of their mouth? It makes no sense. All right, just bear with me a second. Hold on one second, y'all. Somehow this jumped all the way ahead. Hold on. Okay, I'm back on track. Yeah, some of these comments I'm not going to repeat. Exactly. That's a great point, Joe. You said, Chrissie said that Black men were the biggest contributors to her magazine, only to say in the same video that Black men will never build. And I think it's things like that that cause some of these guys, to say, well, they can't, they had this idea where they'll be standoffish when it comes to women, because they think that these women like don't appreciate the good things that they do or whatever. Just like that woman that was in front of that beauty supply place arguing with a brother who was protesting against that store for the owner's, abusive treatment of a Black woman. So Chance X said, I don't remember her trying to dox Chrissie. Yeah, I don't remember her. She wasn't trying to dox her. The only thing that I noticed, she was talking about like having her image or whatever. Yeah, and Sam said basically Paris Milan was receiving all this hate because she doesn't support interracial relationships and stuff like that. Because of that, you know, she was receiving all this hate. And I don't understand like these people that are hateful towards somebody who simply doesn't support interracial relationships. I mean, why are you so hateful of that? I mean, what's wrong with Black people loving each other? You know, what's wrong with the idea of Black love? What's wrong with that? Why is that something that's so objectionable, like so bad in the minds of some of these people? Man, this Chance X is just going bananas in the comment section. Um, Hold on one second. Oh, shout out to Pooh. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, so somebody talked about another person that hides their face and talks trash about people. I'm not going to mention his name, but yeah, I'm really suspicious of people that hide their face and they talk a lot of trash about everybody, man. Because I think that those people that are hiding their face, they have something to hide. You know, either they're ashamed of how they look, they're embarrassed of their appearance, or you know, some people may just have like very important jobs and you know it may jeopardize their job, and I get that, and some people want to protect their privacy and all that kind of stuff. But when you throw shots at people and you insult people constantly on here and stuff like that, um that makes me suspicious of you when you hide your face. So somebody asked if someone showed up at my job. No one showed up at my job yet. They better not. But I've had people threaten me before. Just bear with me a second. So Esmeralda said being pro-Black is a money-making scheme. Paris wants to make money. Um, for some people, you know, who are fake pro-Blacks, it's all about making money. And I've talked about many of them on here before, and I won't waste my time, you know, talking about those people now. But I don't get the impression that Paris Milan is about money. It's like, why do people automatically assume that that's the case? I mean, the sister is genuine to me. Like, she seems like a genuine person. She seems like somebody that means what she says, you know, somebody that speaks from the heart and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not going to buy into that, you know, this idea that, you know, she's all about the money or whatever, because there's no proof of that. There's nothing that supports that position at this point. Shout out to Diamond Girl 08. Shout out to Fresh and Sassy Plant-Based Living. All these people are talking about Black Bike Week. I'm not going to mention that on my channel right now. But there will be something coming up about that, y'all. And I'll let you know. I plan to make an announcement It's probably going to be, probably next year I'll make an announcement about that. But I'm not going to talk about it now. Just bear with me a second. All right, I'm going to stay away from irrelevant comments. Just bear with me a second, y'all. Oh, Z-Bound said I never gave him a response or her a response to Zobounds, excuse me, said I never gave a response why the presidential vote is important. Yeah, I'm going to do a video about that. I'm going to get around to doing a video about that sometime this week as a follow-up to my video where I basically talked about if our vote wasn't important. So yeah, I will get around to doing that. I haven't forgot about that. I will do that. And YouTube, they got rid of the messaging system on here for some reason. If we still had that, I would message you the video once it was posted. Just put on your notifications so that way, as soon as I post about that issue, you'll know right away. Confidence said, yeah, these chicks are trying to change the definition of mammy. Exactly. Sister said black people need to quit trying to throw themselves off on other races. That's being desperate. Exactly. Elaine Lloyd said, I'm late. I'll catch it on the replay. Lonnie One Love said, at work, gotta watch the replay. Yeah, yeah, I'm glad y'all tuning in though. I appreciate it. So Zobound said most black men we see on the media are interracially dating. Yeah, a lot of the celebrities you see, black male celebrities are interracial. A lot of them are, not all of them. And I don't even know if it's most of them, but a large number of them are in interracial relationships. And I don't think that's a mistake. I think that often, people have been programmed to believe that the white woman is some kind of status symbol, is a sign of success, is a trophy of success. So I think that that's part of the reason why you see so many of these successful black men with a white woman on their arm, because they've been programmed to believe that the white woman is the standard of beauty. And and if they're not with a white woman, they'll get the closest thing to a white woman, which is a very light-skinned black woman or biracial woman. So someone said dating preferences is not colorism. It seems like people are trying to change the definitions like they do with the term mammy. Some dating preferences can be a form of colorism. Like if somebody has the position where, they only want to be with, a woman of a certain complexion, or they view only this particular woman of, a lighter woman, for instance, as the beautiful woman, that is colorism. And it's not by mistake, like in most of these films that you see, they'll have a dark-skinned black man with a white woman or a very light black woman. In a lot of those rap videos, you see light-skinned black women put on a pedestal over dark-skinned black women. In a lot of television shows, they depict the dark-skinned woman as the one that's argumentative, talkative, loudmouth, ratchet and all that kind of stuff. and they had a lighter skinned black woman as some kind of delicate creature and all that kind of stuff, some kind of beautiful creature and stuff. And that perpetuates this idea that lighter skinned women are better and more attractive. And that's the reason why you have people with these preferences. It's not like some coincidence that you have a lot of these guys that only find lighter skinned women attractive. That's by design. They've been taught to believe that. Yeah, so somebody said it seems to me that Chrissie was for black people in general when she was rocking with Sergeant Willie P. And yeah, she was. I mean, I know that she had different type of rhetoric back then than she does now. Like, and I used to listen to her more back in the day than I do now. I hardly ever watch her stuff now. Um, And then this person said, then she found out she could profit off of the hatred of black men and changed her platform. Now, I don't know if that's the case, if that's why she did it. She denies that that's the case. She claims that you can make more money talking this pro-black rhetoric and stuff like that. And I don't know if I buy that, you know, because the people that I see that have the larger followings on Black YouTube are these coons and, you know, misogynists. They have larger platforms here in the Black sector of YouTube. So I don't agree with the point that being pro-Black will help somebody make more money. I don't agree with that counter argument that she was making. You know, I think that's a weak counter argument. The people that make the most money are these people that appeal to a large audience, like these people that appeal to white people and, you know, all kinds of people and stuff like that. And a lot of times these people that shuck and jive and coon and all that kind of stuff, and, you know, people who defend police brutality and people that defend this racist ass president that we have, you know, these people that love to bash black women, those are the people that get a lot of views and subs here on YouTube, man. Yeah, I'll let y'all decide if he should be blocked or she should be blocked. Psycho said, I always laugh out loud at unsubscribing. Yeah, and then he said most of the time you didn't even know that person was there to begin with. Exactly, that's how it was with this person today that I saw this comment. I was like, who are you? Like, you're not somebody that regularly comments on my videos. I've never seen you before today. But it's just like with that one person, like, you know, there's 20 more people that subscribe. And so it's like I take that with a grain of salt. And while all of us would love to have a lot of subscribers and a lot of views and all that kind of stuff, you know, I'm not on here just for that purpose. Like, I don't get on here saying, well, let me see what will get me a lot of subscribers or what will give me a lot of viewers. No, I just get on here and say what I want to say. You know what I'm saying? I talk about the things that I want to talk about. You know, sometimes I'll be really passionate about an issue, knowing going in that it's not going to get a lot of views, but I talk about it anyway, just like my video about voter suppression in Georgia. I mean, that's a very important issue. Before I even made that video, I knew off the top that not that many people were going to watch it because people are more fixated on drama and stuff like that. You know, more people will watch this video right here than they would any other, you know, hardcore political video that I do. You know, so yeah, so I talk about what I feel like talking about on here. You know, I try not to just pander to viewers or, you know, pander to something that's catchy or whatever. Like, you have some people on here who literally just follow trending topics. That's all they do. And that's how they maintain their audience. That's all they do. You know, these people are not original at all. You know, these people, all they do is like look, you know, follow Twitter and see what's trending. You know, go on Google to see what the trending topics are. And that's how they decide what they're going to talk about, because they're money driven instead of being driven by like their genuine passion for issues. So any viral video that you hear about in the news, these people are talking about it. So yeah, I mean, it just, well, I want subscribers, and I have a goal of trying to reach 10,000 subscribers, you know, before this year closes out. Subscribers don't dictate my content on here, man. And, you know, I won't be dictated by subscribers or by threats. Like, you know, you got people thinking that I'm going to punk out because they make certain threats, you know, threatening to trying to get me fired and stuff like that. Who gets that butthurt over somebody's content to the point that they feel like they got to take it outside of YouTube and try to mess with somebody's livelihood? I mean, an intelligent person, what they would do is debate the points being raised with reason, logic, and common sense instead of trying to tear down somebody's life. I mean, I saw this one person getting all emotional over some video that I did that didn't have nothing to do with her. Like, she's crying alligator tears, and this some old ass woman, man. I mean, who does that kind of stuff? I mean, some of these people on here are not mentally stable, but that's a whole nother subject, man. Let me just stay focused, because I hate when people do videos that ramble. So let me not ramble on here. I'm just going to stick to your comments before I close out. And I wanted to let you all know that right after this, I'm going to do another video on my I Declare War channel. I'm going to be responding to Brandon Tatum, what's his name? Probably the Uber guy, and Candace Owens, you know, and their fake outrage towards CNN for criticizing Kanye West's minstrel show that took place at that White House. So y'all look out for that. I'm going to do that probably, I originally said 11 o'clock, but it looks like it's going to probably be around 12. And I'm going to try to wrap it up quick so I don't keep y'all up all night. But if you're not subscribed to my I Declare War channel, please subscribe to it. It's in my featured channels on this channel, New Possibilities. Subscribe to it, hit the notification bell on that channel and on this channel. Yeah, people are spreading all these rumors. I'm not going to feed into the rumors, man, because I don't know. I'm not going to co-sign something I don't know about. So y'all got to forgive me if I don't read your comments. Just bear with me a second. I lost my place. So somebody said, anytime, I mean, her supporters are going hard in the paint. Anytime a black woman, especially dark skinned, sticks up for herself and doesn't put other folks first, people are gonna get it upset. Yeah, I mean, that's the argument that they would use to like try to say, well, it's right for black women to put themselves over everything. You know, it's right to be about self-promotion and all that kind of stuff. And I just think that that individualistic mentality doesn't serve our community well at all. I mean, it's part of the reason why our community is imploding and, you know, self-destructing, man. We need to be about the collective. It's only as a collective that we will advance as a people, man. And that's just where I disagree with these people, man. There is no strong black woman without a strong black family and a strong black community. Just bear with me. So somebody said first, the only women facing colorism issues are the ones who are not beautiful. Facts. I don't think that that's true. I think even like, I think that it's not about like if a woman is beautiful or not. Like, I just think that colorism affects all dark-skinned people, regardless of how they look and stuff. You know, you often hear dark-skinned women often tell me, you know, that people will tell them that you're beautiful for a dark-skinned woman. You know, things like that, basically suggesting that they're, you know, that somehow it's an anomaly for a dark-skinned woman to be beautiful. So it's like, I think that hatred against dark-skinned people affects all dark-skinned people. And it's not just like, as Psycho pointed out on his channel, like it's not just dark-skinned women that have to deal with colorism issues either. Dark-skinned men have to deal with it as well. Soulbound said, I'm a black man. I want to duplicate myself. I don't want my children to be seen as other. Yeah, I mean, often that's what happens, like in these interracial relationships. It's like your children don't even look anything like you. Your children do not reflect you. I mean, they may have some of your features and stuff like that, but overall they look completely different from you. So I understand that point you're making. And, you know, I don't have any hostility. I just want to be clear. Like, I don't have hostility towards biracial people. I just want to make that clear, first of all. Um, you know, I'm not, you know, hostile to them. You know, people can't help who their parents are and all that kind of stuff. Supreme Shabazz said if Paris wanted to make money, she could do makeup and gossip videos. Yeah, exactly. Like, if that's what she was about, just trying to make some money, she could have, like he said, she could have done that easily by doing makeup things and make, you know, I don't know if she has other channels, but she could have made money that way, or just been one of these gossip channels like Lovey T, or, you know, that other woman. Yeah, because that people eat up that kind of trash, man. They love that kind of stuff. So if she was just about like getting money, like some of these people are suggesting, she would have been did something like that, man. I don't think it's about money with her. At least that's the impression that I get right now. Um, Psychopath said Chrissie is a colorist hypocrite. There, I said it. But Paris is cool. Yeah, I don't watch enough of Chrissie's content like that, like in recent years, to really say if she's a colorist or not. Like, somebody was saying something about how she was going crazy over that guy, The Rock or whatever. I can't really speak on it since I didn't see it myself. Yeah, so somebody said she decided to break bread with Crystal and Karazin, and that speaks volumes, because somebody else was trying to suggest that she was misunderstood. No, I didn't see that video with, you know, with dealing with, what's her name, the girl who swirls. So I can't really speak on it. So only Alyssa said, many of you are ignoring all the trolling, harassment that Chrissie has gotten over YouTube. The minute she started calling it out, folks had a problem. Again, like I don't watch her like that, so I don't know like about her harassment or whatever. Anybody that puts content out here that talks about controversial subject is going to get some harassment. I mean, that just goes with the territory. Um, so I don't see how. I mean, that's a valid point, but I don't see how that affects like the subject matter of this video, where we're talking about like you know these ideas of black love versus swirling, and the idea of black black pro-blackism versus you know black woman promotion alone. So yeah, let's see what else people are saying. Yeah, so somebody said, I don't think she hates black men at all. Her man is black. Yeah, I'm not going to necessarily say that she hates black men, but she does have some kind of animosity or like disrespect towards black men. And that's obvious, like just by the things she says. I mean, it's obvious that she has some kind of disrespect towards black men. And the fact that somebody is with a black man, that doesn't mean that they love black men. It really doesn't. I mean, just like a Nazi, as somebody else was pointing out, you got these racist white men that are with black women. That don't mean they like black people. Um, yeah, her channel just used to be a better channel, man. I don't know what, but I mean, whatever she's doing, it's working for her because she's getting her subscribers up. All right, just bear with me. Somebody said, what pro-black YouTubers are making big money on YouTube? Yeah, I can't really speak on. I know that. I mean, I'm sure Tariq Nasheed makes a lot of money, but I don't think it's from YouTube. It's like YouTube is an advertising mechanism for him, but he makes good money. And it's, and I know Phil from the Advice Show probably makes money, even though like the definition of pro-black is something that I could go into. I could talk about like how I don't view those people as pro-black or whatever. Um, but I think they make money off of YouTube and other people. Some of these channels have a lot of subscribers, and they do probably make decent money off of YouTube. Shout out to Voltron Black. All right, I want to thank y'all for tuning in. Let me see if there's somebody else that I'll comment to before I head out. I don't get this whole argument that Chrissie is misunderstood, man. I don't buy that. I think her statements speak for themselves, and I think people understand what she said. So I don't buy that talk about her being misunderstood. Yeah, so somebody asked, do I believe that Tariq is real, that he's really pro-black or whatever. I have done plenty of videos stating my position on that. Let me put it this way. Like, I'm not a big fan of Tariq Nasheed. Like, he does some positive things, like his Hidden Colors series, but I'm not a fan. Like, I don't consider him to be a real black activist. And you could just search on YouTube for my videos talking about Tariq Nasheed. Just put in New Possibilities, Tariq Nasheed, and you'll have everything you need to know about my position on him. Yeah, so I want to thank y'all for tuning in. And again, I want to remind you that hopefully I'll be up probably around 12 o'clock on my I Declare War channel. Hit that bell so that you can know right when I upload. It may be a little bit sooner than that. I just need a quick little break, and then I'm going to get back up on here on my I Declare War channel. I want to respond to all these hypocritical Negroes that are pretending to be so outraged with CNN over the statements that they made about Kanye West and his minstrel show at the White House. So tune into that. With that, I'll say peace and blessings to each and every one of you.